Hey now, what's going on everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and with the 30th anniversary of this particular movie being this year, I figured it only made sense for me to rewatch and review Back to the Future. And as you can tell, this is the complete trilogy collection, but I'm talking about the original, the very first Back to the Future, which came out in 1985. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and the plot is we meet Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, who is a pretty normal kid. I mean, he might be a bit of a slacker, as his principal says, when it comes to school, but he has a pretty hot girlfriend, Jennifer, and he has a pretty good life. He hangs out with Doc Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd, who is an inventor, a scientist of sorts. Everyone else in the town might think he's crazy, a little out there, but this guy knows what he's doing because he invented a time machine. In a DeLorean, of course, but still, it's a time machine that works. And through a series of events, Marty ends up going back to the year 1955. Oops! And while he's in 1955, he meets his parents, who aren't together just yet. In fact, he accidentally screws up the way that they meet and fall in love. So the rest of the movie, he has to make sure that these two get together, fall in love, end up together, because if he doesn't, then he's gone. He's erased from existence. Now, what I think of Back to the Future is, do I have to say what I think of this movie? I love this movie! I love this movie. I love this movie. I have seen this film at least 175 times. Alright, maybe I'm lying. Maybe like 150 times. But still, this never gets old. I grew up watching this film. It came on all the time on TV. And every time it was on, I had to stop and watch it because there's too much to love about this movie. Let's talk first about Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox. I love Michael J. Fox. He's so fun to watch, but he's not an unlikable type teenager that you probably would get nowadays from the writing nowadays. I swear, for someone to be funny, they have to be a dick. Marty is the cool kid, the normal kid. His relationship with his parents, how different they are, and you kind of wonder how they ended up together. Or how about, how did he ever meet and become friends with Doc Brown, right? I mean, it's kind of random and weird, but Doc Brown is so funny and likable. Christopher Lloyd, this is like classic. This is what you think of him as this character. He's so over the top. He's so, just his facial expressions, the way he reacts to things. 1.21 gigawatts? Great Scott! You know, it's one of those characters that you can't help but love and smile every time you see him on screen. I love the very beginning where he does present the DeLorean. The DeLorean is badass. It's awesome. It's one of the coolest cars to ever hit a movie cinema. I swear one of these days I will buy a DeLorean. It's on my bucket list. Yes, I have a bucket list. And the DeLorean is on that. It looks so awesome. And the whole flux capacitor and needing plutonium, like when he goes back to 1955 he doesn't have enough, so that's where the lightning strikes comes in from the flyer that tells you the date when lightning will strike, and that works into how they're going to set it up. Like, that's my science. It might not be real science, but I grew up on the science. I don't care what anybody says. Let's talk about also the fact that Doc Brown technically dies at the very beginning of the movie. He gets shot down by like Colombians, terrorists. So when Marty is back in time and he's talking to the younger Doc Brown, he keeps trying to tell him about the future, and Doc Brown's like, no, I can't know the future. It will ruin the space-time continuum and all of this stuff. Yes, that's pretty heavy. What does weight have to do with the future? I love these ongoing jokes, these very little things that are thrown out there. Such a smart script. Let's talk about Crispin Glover as George McFly. The scene where Marty meets his father, his young father, in the diner for the very first time, and his big-eyed, just insanely shocked look on his face is priceless. Seeing him not only young, but that he has the same exact relationship with Biff Tannen that he did when they were older, and how he just gets bullied by him, picked on him, made fun of by him. It's almost hilarious to watch. As much as you feel bad for seeing someone get bullied, it's still kind of funny. And let me talk about Biff for a little bit. Tom Wilson, I have to say that whenever you see him, even nowadays, you go, that's Biff! I don't care. That is Biff. He's great as his character. He's such a like a dumb jock bully type guy, but some of the lines where he consistently says, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? Or when he grabs George McFly in the head and he's like nugging his head and he's like, come on McFly, think! Classic lines in this movie. Also, Marty trying to get his father to talk to his mom is some of the most entertaining things in this film, because George is too nervous, too nerdy. He just doesn't know how to talk to women. It's almost, you can't imagine how it happened in the first place. But like I said, Marty accidentally interfering with how they fell in love, because Lorraine's father is supposed to hit George with the car, and he hits Marty. So Lorraine ends up falling in love with Marty McFly, her son. Wow. This was something that it took a little bit, like when I was older, and I've already had seen it for a few times. One day, though, I watched this and thought, wow, like, his mom has the hots for him. That's kind of edgy for 1985. You almost can't believe that they can get away with it, but it's funny. It works. It's for comedic effect. It never really goes too far because, sure, there's a scene where like she's consistently talking about how hot he is. She calls him Calvin Klein because that's what it says on his underwear. And when she finally does kiss him, because yes, there is an awkward moment where she kisses him, she immediately backs off and says, whoa, that was like kissing my brother. It's just that whole idea of going back in time, meeting your parents when they were your age, and just not only seeing how they were like, but interacting with them, and the whole what-if scenario. There's so much just with the ideas going on with this story that you can't help but love it. Some of the other random cast of characters, one of Biff's gang members, I'm sure plenty of people, if not everybody, knows this by now, but Billy Zane. Like one of his first movies, he doesn't even have a speaking part in this film, but every time I see him, I'm like, hey, that's Billy Zane. Something to point out. The principal, like I said, and the band who plays with Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, at the dance, the enchantment under the sea that his parents are supposed to get together. The scene when Marty uses the guitar and just rocks out and everybody is like, what? And he's like, oh, you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it. I can also talk a little bit about just the special effects. For 1985, when you see the DeLorean actually go back in time, the lightning hits it and the sparks go crazy. I mean, I'm sure it's very simple how they did it, especially in today's standards. It's probably so easy to do it, but it still looks good 30 years later. It still looks damn near better than most CGI nowadays. I will stay true to that statement. And also, the ending might be one of, if not the best, cliffhanger endings to any film. When Doc Brown shows up with Marty and Jennifer and he tells them about the future and how they're kids and roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads. And the DeLorean flies! Wow, I know Robert Zemeckis, I saw this with the commentary, and he claimed that there was no plans to do a sequel. They just wanted a cool ending, a good ending to kind of end on a big note. But they never planned on it, but it happened. We will talk about that next time. Anyways, clearly I love this movie. This is one of my favorite films of all time. I love it, I love it, I love it! Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Back to the Future? Do you love it just as much as I do? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!